I'm Kyle, and this is Orange Focus Media. In this episode, I'm going to be picking up where my last episode left off, talking about another reason why Bitcoin is not crypto. And if you haven't already, I would recommend watching my last episode for this one to make more sense. I just ask if you get something out of this video to please like and subscribe. As I mentioned in my last video, the perception most people have is that Bitcoin is part of crypto. The reality is that Bitcoin is completely separate than crypto. Most cryptocurrencies are more so related to fiat, while Bitcoin is not. This video will explore one of the key reasons, which is supply certainty. I want to begin with a thought-starting idea to keep in mind during this video. Humans have always been in the pursuit of certainty. There are many examples of this. One example is that we have built roads in order to make sure that we get to our destinations quickly, efficiently, and with a high degree of certainty. If there is a destination that people travel to frequently, you wouldn't want to take the path that potentially has deep rivers and volcanoes that could kill you. Throughout time, we try to eliminate the potential variability around us to make it so our future is more certain. This is a natural human instinct. This is why we have built houses, to eliminate the variability in temperatures around us, hospitals everywhere to eliminate the variability in getting medical attention, a vast and distributed food supply network to eliminate the variability in going hungry, and the list goes on. So I just want you to keep this in mind as we explore this in relation to Bitcoin. It's critical to understand why gold has held its value throughout time. And in short, it's because of supply certainty. I created a table with 4 metals: gold, silver, copper, and platinum. We can examine how much of each metal was mined in tons in the year 2022, and how much total above ground supply of the metal there is. And with that, we can calculate its annual inflation rate. And then with that, we can calculate how long it will take for the total above ground supply of the metal to double in supply. You can see that gold has had an inflation rate of 1.4%, silver 4.3%, copper 3.1%, and platinum 4%. Looking at the time it takes for the above ground supply of each metal to double paints a much clearer picture. Gold will take 49 years for its supply to double, silver 16 years, copper 23 years, and platinum 17 years. Let's address a common misconception, that gold is valuable because of its scarcity. This is technically not true. It is valuable because of its low inflation rate and supply certainty throughout time. Platinum is far more scarce than gold, with an above-ground supply of only 10,000 tons. But it gets mined at such a fast rate relative to its total supply. That is why gold has much stronger monetary properties, and it reflects in why gold is more valuable and predictable than platinum. Let's look at real estate with the same lens. How many housing units were built in the year 2022, and the total supply of houses. Houses are very hard to build, and on top of that, you have to get permits, labor, materials, and all sorts of stuff. And that is why it has the lowest inflation rate of just 1%. This is why real estate holds its value so well over time. It is very predictable. Let's look at US dollars, which in the year 2022 had an inflation rate of 6.2%. This is the real inflation rate, not the CPI. It's the amount of US dollars printed in the year 2022 divided by the total supply of dollars. So I hope what I've gone through just now paints a picture for why gold has held its value so well over time. And it's important to remember that the best form of money is going to have a low inflation rate and also a low inflation rate variance. Let's see why Bitcoin's proof of work mechanism is so much different than Ethereum's proof of stake mechanism without getting too technical. With Bitcoin, miners compete to earn the consistent and predictable block reward by organizing transactions into blocks. As of recording this video, the block reward is 3.125 Bitcoin, and that amount gets halved every 4 years. With Ethereum, there is no mining, just validating. Validators stake 32 Ethereum and compete to earn the block reward by organizing transactions into blocks. Staking just means putting your ETH aside to not spend it. Think of it like artificial skin in the game to make sure that you play your part. The amount of new coins issued per block is 0.23 Ethereum minus the fees burned, which is variable. Here are some of the key benefits of proof of work. Anyone can mine. It's always fair. Supply is consistent and predictable, and it promotes decentralization. Meanwhile, with proof of stake, at least for Ethereum, you must have 32 ETH to be able to validate blocks, which is equal to about $96,000 right now. This is biased to people who have more Ethereum, and supply is inconsistent and variable, which we will see soon, and this promotes centralization because the people who have the most Ethereum will be doing the most validating. Let's look at a chart of the total Bitcoin supply over time. You can see that every 4 years, the new amount of Bitcoin issued gets cut in half. We know exactly how much Bitcoin will be issued over time until the year 2140, in which all of the Bitcoin will be mined. This degree of certainty is why Bitcoin is an ideal form of money. Its inflation rate is now lower than gold and even more predictable. On the contrary, let's look at the total supply of Ethereum over time. The first thing that you can notice is that the supply is far less uniform than Bitcoin. Ethereum suffered a major hack in 2023, causing the network to fork and get rid of their proof of work algorithm in exchange for proof of stake. That is why the inflation rate is now permanently unpredictable. I zoomed in on that top right area of the chart, and you can see wild swings in the inflation rate. This is not what you want to see in any form of money. Even with an inflation rate that is very low, it needs to be predictable with a high degree of certainty. My final point on why proof of stake is not an acceptable mechanism to use for money is that it distorts organic supply and demand. I have below a chart of Ethereum's total supply over time in red, and the amount of Ethereum that is staked and unspendable in green. You can see that of the 120 million total Ethereum, 32 million is staked and unspendable, which is over 25% of the total supply. This, in my opinion, is an artificial mechanism to keep the price propped up. Not to mention that the formula for the amount of new Ethereum issued could change at any time and create even more variability. One more point is that the supply of Ethereum peaked in 2022. The supply is obviously being manipulated and should not look like this. The big lesson that I want you to take away from this video is that a monetary good must have a low inflation rate and predictable inflation rate variance. Thank you for watching my explanation of why Bitcoin is not crypto through the lens of supply. Stay tuned for my next video, which will be a tutorial of how to break down the US federal budget. I'm Kyle with Orange Focus Media. Please like and subscribe.